Thank you everyone for taking the time to attend the GitLab demo today. We plan to use about 45 minutes to walk you through the entire product. We'll also post this on YouTube and are eager to hear your feedback. I'm Anup Dawar, Vice President of Product Management here at GitLab. And joining me today are Kenny Johnston, Senior Director of Ops, and David DeSanto, Senior Director of Dev and Sec. I'd like to start with sharing GitLab's product vision to be a single application for the entire DevOps lifecycle. In the absence of a DevOps platform, most companies stitch together a DIY DevOps toolchain, which has a number of downsides. First, brittle, expensive integrations requiring large investments. Second, multiple UIs and logins with bad experience requiring team members to bounce between products. Data models that differ between point solutions, leading to errors and challenges reporting status. There is no single source of truth. Convoluted processes that frustrate team members and rob joy out of their daily jobs. To address these concerns, GitLab built a single application for the entire DevOps lifecycle. It has a single data model, a single UI, and a single place to log in. It covers all the DevOps stages, enabling teams to plan their projects, write and manage code, continuously integrate, test for security, manage artifacts and packages, configure, deploy, monitor, and protect production applications, and see value stream reporting across the top of the whole software development lifecycle. Because it's a single tool, team members can have a single conversation that spurs innovation and leads to happier teams. Because it's a single tool, things like security testing and compliance checks can be done at the time of coding rather than afterwards. This helps reduce cycle time. It improves the communication between teams and results in more secure and compliant code in production. Today, we'll visit Wayne Enterprises and see how this enterprise brings everyone together to build better software. The three of us will switch roles and personas through the demo. David will showcase the day in the life of a developer first, and later security and compliance personas. Kenny will walk us through the role of the operator in an enterprise organization, both in platform ops team and later in the application ops team. And I'll start off with showcasing the plan capabilities for enterprises and then later walk through the executive persona. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. Planning. Planning is a crucial function in any organization. The structure varies by organization, but one generalized way to think about it is as follows. Each line of business is a value stream with its investments. In GitLab, we call these groups. Groups can have subgroups. Groups and subgroups can have projects. These can be arbitrarily deep and hierarchical. This information architecture lends itself to cover the most common patterns and provides extreme flexibility to teams to collaborate with each other. For instance, company-level goals could be epics at the top-level group and then cascade down to subgroups and projects, just like an organization would cascade their OKRs. You get to track progress at groups, subgroup, and project level. Each layer can track at their own cadence. For instance, groups could track quarterly milestones, but each project team could have shorter iterations of, say, 4 to 6 weeks, or even 2 weeks. Let's see this in action. Here we have Wayne Enterprises organizational hierarchy. You will notice 4 subgroups under it. Wayne Tech, the home of the platform team, Wayne Industries, software tools team, Wayne Aerospace, a value stream for the aerospace market, and Wayne Financials, a fintech value stream. These could be lines of businesses. You will notice more nesting that can go arbitrarily deep to reflect the organizational structure down to small teams level. For instance, the customer web portal team in Main Financials. Company level initiatives reside at the Wayne enterprise levels and are reflected as epics. Line of business level initiatives could be at their particular level as well. Let's take a look at the list of company level initiatives. Here is the list of company level initiatives. I could get a more visual view by going to the epic boards and see which ones of these initiatives are in validation backlog, which ones are ready for development, which ones are in development, and so on. But I prefer to go to the list because it shows me the milestones readily. Here I can see the make company website more self-service is in the current milestone, is ready for development, and has had recent activity. So let's go dive in. Now you're seeing an epic. Epic allows teams to drive alignment with clear objectives and timelines. Included in Epic is a full robust conversation tool and a full audit trail of all the changes in conversations and who made those changes in conversations. Epics are also useful at a high level to communicate status and future changes for executives and leaders to identify cross-functional dependencies and ensure alignment. For instance, in this case, we see 3 sub-epics from 3 different orgs that need to come together to make this initiative successful. We also see that there are 16 deliverables across all these 3 functions with a total weight or estimated complexity of 45. And we can quickly see how many of these issues are on track, need attention, or at risk. This can be pretty flexible to represent complex development plans and map out delivery schedules. You can have, again, arbitrary nesting here to walk through and drill down into the area of your interest. I'm going to go look at the restructure FAQ page content because that seems to have some things at risk. I could go directly from this page, or I could open the sub-epic and get a different view. Here, I see the restructure FAQ sub-epic. I notice that this issue is part of an effort to improve the website, to make it more self-service, and there are a ton of activities that the teams have already completed and several more planned, some that are on track, some that need attention, and some at risk. I'm going to dive into the first one that's at risk because it's for the next milestone and it has a pretty high weight. So let's dive in. Automatic update of FAQ with new features. Multiple customers have shared this problem with us, and there is no automatic way of creating new FAQs. There's a proposal here to create a better process, including an auto generation functionality, so new FAQs shows up automatically. That makes sense because we want to reduce human toil and automate as much as possible. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to tag Alfred and Lucius from our development team to make sure that we can start working on it and make it lower risk, because I think the requirements are clear. The other thing I'm going to do is change the tag from validation backlog to refinement. I could do that here by editing the tab, or I could go to the issue boards and drag and drop these things. For instance, here is our issue in validation backlog that I'm now going to move to refinement. I'm going to click at it again, and you will notice that the label has now changed to validation refinement. This feeds into the value stream later, as you will see. This is now ready for engineering to take a look. So I'm going to turn it over to David DeSanto, our acting developer for this demo. Take it away, David.
Thank you, Anoop. My name is David DeSanto. I'm Senior Director of Product, leading the Dev, Sec, and Model Ops sections. For this part of the demo, I will be a developer. So as a member of Wayne Enterprises, I work in the Wayne Financial Division, and I support the customer web portal. I generally start my day by looking at the GitLab to-do list. This is located in the top right corner of the GitLab UI. In here is where I would get alerted about any changes on current tasks, as well as any discussions that I need to follow up on. Great, I have no new to-dos. This means that all of my recent work completed successfully and has been added to the production application. So let's go and get a new task to work on. Great, so now that I'm back at the customer web portal project, I can go under issues and boards. This is my team's board where all of the work that we need to be focused on is located and is in different columns based off their current state. For this, I'm going to look at the ready for development column. This is work that my engineering manager, as well as the UX designer, have reviewed and have identified that it's ready for development. So first, what I will do is I'll move this over to the in development column. This will let everyone know that I am actively working on it. I can also come in and assign it to myself, so that way everyone is aware that I've picked up this task. To review it, we can click on the title and it'll bring us into the details. So great. So this is actually looking to improve our frequently asked question page such that it'll automatically update when we ship new features. The problem we're looking to solve is being able to better alert our customers about these new features. And so by shipping a new feature, it should automatically refresh the frequently asked questions page with any new details. What I can see here is it's tied to our efforts to improve the frequently asked questions page. It's currently in the milestone that I'm working in. And if I scroll down, I can see the customer label is on here. This means that customers have requested this feature, and that makes me more excited to work on it. As I mentioned that my engineering manager has looked at it, they've already weighted the amount of effort this will take to complete. So great, so let's look at a little bit more as to what I need to do. I can click on the attached visuals and review what is to be built. What's really exciting about GitLab being a single application is it gives us one location to be able to collaborate across all the different departments. Here you can see the visual design done by Lucius Fox, our UX designer, and you can see other people interacting with Lucius. Here you can see sales, asking if there's something we can complete. It's probably one of Melissa's customers who wanted to see this happen, as well as Lucius reaching out to both the security team and the platform team on these changes to make sure they're what they expect. What's really great is I can actually come in here and I can click on it anywhere I want and add a comment and then have a back and forth with Lucius as need be. Now, based off the work that needs to be done, I'm very comfortable with this, so why don't we dive in and begin doing the coding. From here, there's two ways I can move forward. I can first come down to the bottom here and click Create New Merge Request. This will allow me to introduce a new section of code that I want included in our production application. Or as an old school developer, I like to actually go and browse through the source code. And I can do that by going up to repository and files. Since I'm very familiar with this part of the application, I support it a lot. I know exactly where I need to go. So we're going to go into the notes folder and into routes. And this is because we're going to be adding a new route to the application. To now edit this section of the application, I can click on Web IDE. One of the great things about GitLab is it includes a code editor built right in. This means I don't need to leave my workflow to go use another app to write the code I'm going to introduce. Now here at the top, I know I need to add a function. And it's probably not a good thing to admit, but I'm definitely a nerd when it comes to frequently asked questions pages. I love making sure everyone's aware of what needs to happen and giving them the information to answer all the questions they may have about the application. Because of this, I've actually already started working on this on the side, so I'm very excited to see it be included. So first, here I'm adding a new function that'll auto-generate based off the new frequently asked questions that get generated. And I need to go down and replace the existing frequently asked questions page with the new code. So let's just replace that as well and put in our new function. Awesome. So that's now has the new part of the frequently asked questions page. But to make this work, I also need to update the database version we're using. And so I can do that by going into the Docker file configuration. One of the great things about GitLab is that I'm able to collaborate closely with the platform team. And so we're able to actually make application configurations as a file, and we can edit those together and collaborate. So here I'm going to just add a command to pull in the specific version of the database I need. So I'm going to commit this code, which is saying that I'm going to want to contribute this code into the application. I'll give it a really obvious statement so everyone knows what I'm doing, updating it so it generates automatically. And I will give it a branch name, which is where my change is located, a name that's very descriptive so everyone knows what it's about. Great, so now I'm going to click commit, and you can see it's automatically going to start that merge request we talked about before. From here, I want to give it a very clear title, let everyone know what we're doing. And also, again, one of the nice things about GitLab being our single platform is there's a concept of templates that can be created and managed by the platform team. This allows me to come in and just answer questions that I know will help everyone understand what we're doing. And here you can see that we've defaulted that every merge request should list why this change. And so let me put a little bit of information in there so everyone knows why we are doing that. The other thing I can do is actually reference the issue that we're working on. And when this merge request closes and gets merged, it'll automatically close out the issue that I assigned to myself. Let's also assign the merge request to myself so I can easily find it. And now I'm going to hit create merge request. So now what will happen is our CI pipeline will pick up these code changes, build the application, and do all the tests that we want run. You can see that starting right here, where it shows the pipeline has begun. What's really nice about GitLab being our single application is I can then, again, collaborate not only closely with the platform team, but with the security team. So what you can see is here we've built out our CI pipeline. We're going to build the application. And then I've defined some tests I would like run to make sure the application code that I've written is secure. The security and compliance team was also able to inject in scans that they need run to meet our compliance. And then finally, the platform team collaborated with me to be able to build what is called a review app, a copy of our application that can be built with the code changes so everyone can validate and make sure they work. So that's really great. The other thing that's really nice is GitLab is aware of the code change I'm making and can recommend the right reviewers. And you can see this right below the approve button. First, I'm going to be bringing code into main. That is the main branch of our application running in production, and I'll need someone to approve from that list. Also, in the vulnerability check, the security team is going to want to make sure we're not breaking any of our security and compliance requirements. GitLab will automatically notify them that this is ready for them to review and put that back into that GitLab to-do list we talked about at the beginning. Based off the application change I'm making, I want to actually request a specific person to review it. And the main reason is I've been working with them very closely on monitoring the application in production. So I'm actually going to come in here and then also assign this to Kenny. So this will notify Kenny that I've requested his review and allow him to come in, review it, and make sure that I'm not impacting performance and that he can go in and properly monitor the application. And with that, this is now ready for the platform team to take over. And with that, I'll hand it over to Kenny.
Hi. All right. As David mentioned, I'm Kenny. I work as part of the Wayne Tech platform team here at Wayne Enterprises. My job is to enable developers across our organization to reduce their cycle time and deliver great, reliable software experiences for our users. First things first, let me check my to-dos. This is my home dashboard for all things Wayne Enterprises. It looks like I've got a to-do from David to approve a merge request. Let's dive in. All right, I am familiar with this project. It's our customer web portal in Wayne Financials. I see that there are some changes about adding a specific endpoint, an FAQ endpoint. It's good to get my review on things like that. That's great. Before I give it a full review, I do want to check out the DevOps pipeline that's defined for this project. Okay, so what is a DevOps pipeline? Well, with GitLab, David and his team have lots of control for how their application gets built, tested, deployed, and released. They do that using GitLab's human readable syntax for pipelines, which encapsulates automation into a series of tasks called jobs and groups those jobs into specific stages. In this case, David's team is utilizing the stages of build, test, compliance, review, staging, DAS, deploy, and cleanup. Using GitLab, David's team has a lot of control to customize these stages and jobs and ensure that they run reliably. Let's take a look at the build stage. I noticed that in their build job, they are using Docker to build and publish a container in our container registry, in GitLab's container registry. Containers are a great technology that enables developers to bundle their applications, including dependencies, so it can be run almost anywhere. It's great that David and team are using GitLab's built-in container registry to store containers built on each branch in commit. A security team can run security scans against those containers while in the registry or while in production. I'll quickly check their registry for images. Looks like there's 87 images, meaning the application has been built 87 times from a DevOps pipeline across their main branch and feature branches, once on each commit. I can also check out the default branch and see that there are 32 tags of the default branch, meaning there have been 32 main branch merge commits that have created new updated production containers for this application. I notice immediately that there's no cleanup policy enabled for this project. I make a quick note to remind David and team to set up that cleanup policy to reduce his storage costs as soon as it's convenient. Going back to the pipeline editor, I noticed that there are a number of include statements in this pipeline definition that David and team are using. That is great to see. It looks like they are using some of the standard templates that GitLab provides, like SAST, secret detection, and DAST. Awesome. And I see that they are also using templates from the Wayne Tech platform templates that my team provides. Also great to see. While we're looking at the different stages, GitLab can also give me a lint that gives me a little bit more detail about what each job and stage will be performing, including the exact tasks or scripts that will be executed, as well as when they will be running. When I look at the production job, I see that the deploy to production is going to only run when it's on a main branch commit, and it requires a manual approval. That's great. I'm glad that that portion is set up. And it looks like they're deploying to Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a popular container orchestration engine, and in our case, these clusters run applications from a number of different business units and teams. My team centrally owns one Kubernetes cluster that many of the other teams deploy to. We utilize GitLab's extensive Kubernetes integration to not only manage the clusters ourselves, but also enable various development teams to easily deploy to them via these templates. Let me go back to Wayne Tech and show you some of the other tools that GitLab or that Wayne Tech provides. If we look at the platform templates, I can see that we have the deploy templates as I mentioned. And one thing that we provide in these deploy templates is a variety of options for deployment teams to utilize depending on their application's characteristics. So if David and team wanted to switch from, say, production deployment to Kubernetes to Fargate, all they need to do is in their pipeline definition, change their include file from Kubernetes to something like Fargate. It's that simple. Oh, wait, GitLab has provided me a notification that that actual file does not exist. That's not a valid template. Thanks, GitLab. Looks like I misspelled the word Fargate. All right. Beyond just the platform templates, Wayne Tech also provides a number of other essential tools for our development teams. Those include things like project templates, where we can create project templates that include DevOps pipeline configuration for custom languages or project types that we typically use. Infrastructure definition, where our infrastructure and ops teams collaborate with developers in defining their infrastructure as code and pushing changes in a controlled fashion. Issue and MR templates, runbooks, where our teams collaborate on documentation for how to respond in the case of instance, and a status page where we provide the users of Wayne Enterprise software visibility into the status of our applications, whether they're up or experiencing an issue. Lastly, we also provide utilities. These come in the form of reusable software packages that various teams throughout our organization use. This helps prevent code reuse and ensure that development teams are enabled to move quickly without having to create boilerplate code. One of these is called PenguinNet. Let's take a look. Like any good software company in Gotham, we need to ensure that we have a tool for catching any of the penguins that are out in our environment. Looks like PenguinNet does just that. When I'm new to PenguinNet, I can quickly see that it has 2 releases, and that the latest release, version 1.2.0, added some new features, including other great features and a disclaimer. I can also immediately download the source code from the assets, or I noticed that they have a Python package. This Python package is stored using GitLab's central package registry and enables developers to easily discover, download, and utilize best practices and reused code across their organization. One of the great things about GitLab's integrated package registry is that it provides a lot of great developer experience tools, including immediate ability to install the package into your application, as well as a kind of history of how this package was built, including references to specific DevOps pipelines that triggered the building of this package, as well as an easy way to get directly into the code that's changed when this package was built. This kind of closeness to code really allows developers to not only collaborate, but troubleshoot any changes that they might find transparently. Let's take a look at the DevOps pipeline for the PenguinNet project. When I look at this template, the first thing I notice is that it's using a bunch of templates. That's great to see. In fact, they're not using any customized CI/CD code. All they're doing is including the build, test, and publish files provided by the Wayne Tech platform team. I bet that they created this project from one of our standard project level templates. That is great to see. All right, let me jump back to that merge request. So again, this merge request was introducing an FAQ endpoint. I've reviewed the DevOps pipeline. It looks good. I can see the actual pipeline that ran here. While I'm here, I can quickly check on a review app, a deployed version of this application into our shared Kubernetes cluster based on only the code that has been changed in this feature branch. I can see that it's working appropriately. I can even go to the FAQ endpoint that I know has been updated. Great to see these new colors that I had already reviewed. All right, I think I am ready to approve. I'm going to jump down and use the GitLab's quick actions to quickly approve this merge request. There it is, approved. And it looks like, if I look at the eligible approvers, next up is David to perform the vulnerability check. With that, I will hand it over to you, David.
Thank you, Kenny. And for this part of the demo, I will be playing both a security analyst and a compliance manager at Wayne Enterprises. As GitLab is our single application for the entire DevSecOps lifecycle, I'm able to work seamlessly as well as collaboratively with the developers and our ops teams. A great example of this has been the merge request experience that we've been showing you. This is a single point where all teams can collaborate closely together to ensure we are meeting our security and compliance requirements. So let's look at our GitLab to-do list to see what activity is going on today. Okay, it looks like one of our developers has introduced some new code and is asking for me to review it. Okay, so this merge request introduces a couple of new components. First, it updates the frequently asked questions endpoint to include syncing the latest updates. It also looks like they've added a new function as well as specified a database version that works with their code. So let's go down and look at the security results. We can do this by looking at the security scanning results here within the merge request. When we expand this, we can see the results. So let's first look at the container scanning results. Oh wow, that's a lot of new vulnerabilities. However, quickly scrolling, it looks like they're all related to the database version. So let's look at the critical vulnerability. One of the nice things about GitLab for Security is it provides a lot of details so the developer can be enabled to fix this vulnerability, and it allows me to collaborate with them closely as a security practitioner here at Wayne Enterprises. So on top of the description and information related to the vulnerability, there are two great things that GitLab provides. First is a suggested solution, which you can see here at the bottom of this window. This encourages resolution of the vulnerability by GitLab being able to recommend the code change. GitLab is able to do this because it's not just our security scanning solution, but it's also our source code management. So here it's recommending that if we upgrade to this newer version of the database, this vulnerability is addressed. One of the things I really think is really slick about GitLab for Security is it also can do automatic remediation. And you can see that here with the Resolve with Merge Request button. By clicking this, GitLab will automatically create a new code branch fix the software, address this vulnerability, and then rerun the pipeline to make sure everything is now okay. If everything is good, all the developer has to do is click merge, and it brings that security fix back into their code branch. So why don't we do this for the developer so they don't have to worry about it. Here we can see it's now going to apply that vulnerability fix and then rerun the pipeline. So great, that's now been kicked off for the developer. Let's now go look at the SAST results. Okay, so there's 2 new vulnerabilities here as well. So let's review the critical. Okay, so what GitLab is telling us is that the security scanning found that the certificate check is being disabled. The point of this security check and the certificate validation is to make sure that our software is actually communicating with a secure server and it can identify who that server is. What GitLab is able to do is also tell us the lines of code where this vulnerability is found, as well as give us, again, industry identifiers. What we can do is we can come in and click create issue, and that's going to create a vulnerability record for the developer to address. But I want to go in and look at the actual code that's introducing this vulnerability. So we'll go look at the routes file and look at those lines of code. I can click on this and take me back into the web IDE, but also GitLab provides the changes in a tab up here that shows what this code change is. So let's go down to lines 100 through 103. Okay, sure enough, here the developer is making a request to get the information to automatically update the frequently asked questions page. So we want to actually see that they're doing a validation check, and here you can see it's set to false. It was probably set this way because they were testing their code, but now that this code is going to production, we should change that. So what you can easily do is click here, highlight that line, and then insert a code suggestion. I'm going to change this to true, and I'm going to hit add comment. This is now going to show the suggested code change that I'm recommending. I'm also going to message the developer and let them know that I suggested this. So great. So I'm going to add this comment, and all the developer needs to do is come in, if they agree, apply that suggestion. So great, it looks like we've been able to address the majority of the vulnerabilities, both with auto remediation and a suggested code change. One of the really nice things about GitLab as a single application for the DevSecOps lifecycle is it allows us to work collaboratively across groups. An example of this is the compliance checks that I was able to add to the pipeline. These scans together equal software composition analysis, which is very key with enterprises like Wayne Enterprises. We want to be able to make sure we are checking our software bill of materials to make sure it's both secure and up to date. And those scans allow us to do that. And I can inject those as part of my configurations. To show you what that looks like results-wise, let's go over and look at the dependency list. The dependency list gives me a list of all known dependencies needed to build our application. This includes dependencies the developers asked for. In this case, the development team uses Flask as their web server, but also all the dependencies that Flask needed, the developer didn't ask for. And that includes things here such as Flask WTF, as well as Jinja 2 and MarkSafe, and of course, several other ones that are in this list. This gives me full visibility into my software supply chain to make sure that we fully understand what is happening with our application. Like in the merge request, we can expand and learn more about the known vulnerabilities, as we can see is with this package, as well as see both the packager that included it and the license that's being injected. That's very key because there could be licenses that we would not want to include in our application for compliance purposes. What's really nice about GitLab for software bill of materials is I can also export this out and provide it to my external auditor to make sure that they know that we are meeting our compliance requirements. One of the other great things about GitLab as our single application for security is they provide in a vulnerability report. This gives me a list of all known vulnerabilities within our production application. It's broken down by severity, by the status of the vulnerability. I can also filter by the severity, the type of scan that was run, as well as any activity that needs to be taken. And here you can see there are some critical known vulnerabilities in our production application. If we scroll down and look at the individual list, again, I can see that same information, including hop directly to the line of code where that is found. I can also see that the team's already created an issue and they're working on resolving it. Here, we can see there's a vulnerability that actually has this little gear on it. This is telling me that GitLab has identified this vulnerability has been fixed in the production application, and we're wanting us to take action on it. I, of course, can go into it, read all about the vulnerability, and then I can just determine that, yes, correct, we do see that as resolved as well. On top of being able to see the current status of this application, the customer web portal, I can also see this at all levels of Wayne Enterprises. So if we go up to the Wayne Financial team here, we can see there's multiple projects. I can see that same single view for Wayne Financial at this level. So I can go back into the vulnerability report and have a breakdown of all known vulnerabilities in all of our production apps for Wayne Financial. This again is going to allow me to drill into the same information, as well as drill into specific projects I want to review. GitLab also provides security dashboards at the project level, the group level where I'm at today, and of course for all of Wayne Enterprises. And here I can see things such as vulnerability trends over time, and I can see we've had an uptick of critical vulnerabilities, which is something we should look at. We can also see there's been a drop over the last month of high vulnerabilities. That's also a good sign to see that we're trending better on our vulnerabilities. We can also see a breakdown of projects by grade. And from here, I can drill directly into that project and be able to take action and collaborate with my peers over in the development and ops sections as well. If we go back to Wayne Financial, one thing you might have noticed is that we have this label here that says PCI GCP Kubernetes. This is a compliance framework label that tells this project that there are things that are related to our compliance that must be enforced. This is one of the nice, powerful things about GitLab for security and compliance is I'm able to collaborate and set guidelines that need to be met. So if we go up and look at the Wayne Enterprises level for configuration, there's options here for compliance frameworks. Here you can see that same label, it says PCI GCP Kubernetes, and these are compliance requirements we must meet as part of being a financial institution. We can come in and say edit, and not only saying the name, but the description. One of the powerful things here is the compliance pipeline configuration, which is defined here. This is allowing me to set immutable scan policies that must be run with every pipeline run. So let's look at that configuration. Kenny was talking about the platform team working within Wayne Tech and providing tools that the entire organization can use. So if we drill into there, you'll see that there's actually one labeled platform templates. If we go into that, there is a compliance folder and a pipeline configuration file. Within here, you can see those 3 scans I showed you that were running as part of that pipeline and that they are always going to be run. And of course, this entire configuration is automatically injected in at runtime, and it's immutable. No one can go in and change those and stop those scans from running, which is a really powerful feature GitLab provides to us. So let's go back and look at the merge request the developer has been working on. If we scroll down, we can see the developer took our merge in from the automatic remediation, as well as the code change, making it possible for our security to be in a much better stance. So we go back up and look at the security results. We can see no new vulnerabilities are found. Also, no new licenses were introduced, taking us out of compliance. So because GitLab is our single application and we can all work closely together, I can also come in and hit approve. And now all approvals are needed to merge, and I can click the merge button. So I'll click this for our development team, and they'll be notified that we've now addressed the issue the developer worked on, as well as come to a really secure and compliant stance, and the code's ready to be moved into production. And with that, I will hand this back over to Kenny to talk about the application ops persona.
All right, I'm back. Another one of my core jobs here at Wayne Tech is to ensure that deployments to production are safe and secure. Here at Wayne Enterprises, the Wayne Tech team has configured a number of deployment safety mechanisms that GitLab provides to ensure that deploys to production happen reliably. Some of those include preventing developers from accessing production secrets, preventing multiple deployments to the same environment, automatically rolling back deployments if critical alerts arise, confirming that applications deploy safely in staging before promoting to production, and limiting who can perform deployments to production to the platform team only. I recently received a to-do letting me know that there is a pending production deploy of our customer web portal that requires my approval. Here I am on our environments page for this project, and I can already see that there is an option for me to promote the staging deploy to production with this deploy to production job. Before I do that though, I want to check the pipeline that has run that is deploying this application. I check and see that the staging was deployed, the tests that I expect to have run, and that a dynamic application security test scan has run against the staging environment. That is great to see. I can also, from the environments page, see a live version of the staging environment right here to make sure that it meets what I'm expecting. So with that, I think I'm ready to deploy to production. I'll click play on the deploy to production, and I can watch the job run and execute here on my pipeline page. Here it is getting kicked off, and I can watch the job complete successfully. But given how I've configured GitLab, I'm fairly confident that the deploy is going to happen and safely and securely. All right, so I can go back to my regular job. But wait, there has been an incident that's arrived. GitLab has the capability to provide me with a view into incidents that are generated from alerts, and I have been triggered to pick this incident up. I already see that I've got a timer on me. Let's dive in. All right, the first thing I notice is that this is high latency levels that we got from free user running, and we've had confirmation from support. So I'm going to quickly jump in and set the severity for this. I know that we assign these to critical severity. All right, and then the other thing I see that the incident template itself reminds me who the product SMEs are, Lucius and Alfred. So I'm going to ask them, hey, to get involved. Please investigate this immediately. All right. I can also use GitLab's built-in functionality to publish to our status page by quickly typing the keyword publish. This will publish it to an independent project hosted in Amazon's S3, so that even if my site is down, I can ensure that I'm providing a status update to our users. I can also let the public know specific updates as we go along. So I'm going to say, we are aware of this issue and the team is on it. And I can publish that to that unique comment to the status page using the microphone emoji. All right, so the issue is published to our status page. Here we are, let's check out the status page. There it is, it's got my last comment. And if I look at our overall status page, it went from green to, oh no, there's now an active incident. This incident setup was created using GitLab's monitoring settings, including the fact that we can integrate with various types of alerts, including Slack, Datadog, and Prometheus, and that David and team can create their on-call schedule, including primary rotation for individual developers and a weekly backup rotation that includes members of the platform team. There's also escalation policies so that if alerts and incidents aren't acknowledged within a certain time period, they get escalated to specific users to ensure that every alert gets a timely response. All of that goes a long way to ensuring that our team can lower the mean time to resolution of any incident that might occur in our application. If we look at a recently closed incident, we can also see that one of the great benefits of GitLab is that we actually get to close the loop. Here in this incident is a merge request that actually closed the incident itself that involved making changes to our infrastructure. And so that closed loop is really important to me and my team to ensure that our development organization follows up with any after action items or root cause analysis, and that we are confident that any incident of a similar type won't reoccur. This feedback loop is really important, and I am now going to hand it over to Anoop, who's going to tell you about how he, as a CTO, is able to follow along on how well that feedback loop is running. Over to you, Anoop.
Thank you, Kenny and David. Now, let's talk about another persona, a leader persona. Here, it could be an app dev director who's responsible for managing and leading several teams of developers, supporting a specific set of business applications, who's responsible for delivering consistent and predictable business results. As a leader, I would want to know that my team is delivering software updates efficiently. And leveraging GitLab value stream analytics is a great way to do that and to identify bottlenecks. So let's see that in action. I'm now switching over to a value stream analytics in the plan stage instead of the demo from Wayne Financial that we were talking about, because demo doesn't have a lot of data to show you the actual feature richness here. So you will see right up front, key DevOps adoption metrics. Lead time, which is a signal of the time in queue that a business request is waiting. Cycle time, a signal of how quickly the code is being accepted and deployed. The backlog, the number of deployments in production, and more importantly, the deployment frequency, the average number of deployments that are going into production every day. But that's not all. We see value stream defined above, from validation backlog to problem validation to design solution validation and so on. And this is great because now I can see that although the team in average is spending 2 days in developing features, on average, we're waiting 4 days to get it reviewed. That's to me an actionable insight where I can now drill down and see what's going on. Now I can see a list of all the issues and how long they've waited to be reviewed. I can sort by time, for instance, and see if there are any outliers. Notice here I'm sorting it by time, and now I see that the I-18 translations are waiting for a really long time, followed by other translation levels, followed by Dast artifact downloads. Now I found the bottlenecks and I can go help unblock the team. But that's not all. There's more actionable insight here. CI/CD analytics, contribution analytics, and one of my favorites, DevOps adoption report. So let's have a look at DevOps adoption. You will notice that DevOps adoption shows you which groups in your organization are using the most essential practices of DevOps. For dev stage, it would be approvals, code ownership, issues, and merge requests. For sec stage, it would be the primary scanning capabilities like dynamic application security testing, dependency scanning, fuzz testing, and static application security testing. And for ops, it would be things like deploys, pipelines, and runners. You'll also notice an at-a-glance view across all the teams. And this is super helpful because I can quickly see the adoption and compare cycle times. I can find out who's leading in adoption and who's lagging. And then I can connect the leaders with the laggers so they can share information, all up-level their understanding and approach to DevOps. Okay, so in the last several minutes or so, you have seen us walk through all the stages of GitLab. Each stage can have its own hour-long demo. This is still just scratching the surface of the amount of capability inside GitLab. Multiple personas spend a lot of their work time in this application, as there are many expert level capabilities that improve the quality of life for these personas. But we wanted to give you a flavor of the day in the life of each person in a large enterprise and how the single application is built to make their jobs easy. Thank you and have a great day.